Alright folks, no long introduction, let's just go ahead and get started with showing you 3 corset construction methods. First, find a pattern that you would like to work with. I have pattern reference P from Atelier Sylph, which is based on a Victorian corset in her collection. This is a one-size pattern, that of the specific antique corset that she owns, which is a little bit unlike most modern patterns, which will often have several sizes available all in one package. Rather than cut up this pattern permanently, I'm going to instead trace over the pieces. That way I have plenty of wiggle room to make modifications if I need to without destroying my original copy of the pattern. For now, I'm just tracing the outline, seam allowance, and waist seam. I could trace all of the boning channels and other nitty-gritty details, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to make several mock-ups before I'm satisfied with the fit, so let's just worry about those details later. Once you have your pattern, it's a pretty good idea to go ahead and measure the bust and waist just to check how well they match against your own. Often a pattern will include the sizing information on the package, but just in case it doesn't, or you want to double check for yourself, you can find the measurements by lining up the waistline in a neat little row. Don't, of course, forget to take out that seam allowance, and then carefully measuring the total. It looks like the waist is just over 12.5 inches on one side, so that would be 25 inches total. I did the same thing for the bust, carefully lining up the pieces at the top and measuring the approximate fullest part of the chest, and found it to be about 17 across or 34 inches total. Even when you account for the kind of standard 2-inch gap for the lacing and a little bit of negative ease, that is still just a smidge small for my preference. I'll add a little bit to the width of each piece and then trim off the excess. This is probably too much, but it's a good start. When the pattern prep is all done, find some sturdy fabric for the mock-up. Coutil is perfect for corsets, but I only have a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and save that for the actual corset and instead use this green canvas. You don't have to use either of these, but you do want to use a fabric that is not stretchy on either the straight grain or the cross grain. It should hopefully also have a tight weave, and I personally really like it to have a bit of heft. I know that I have advocated for old worn-out sheets and bed linens for mock-ups in the past, but this is a garment that would really benefit from something with a little bit more strength. For the first corset construction method, we're going to use a single layer corset. Cut out 2 for each pattern piece, one for the left side of the body and one for the right. As I finish each piece, I like to line them up together in a row to check that I have all the right parts and that they are oriented in the correct direction. If everything is in excellent order, go ahead and start stitching the pieces together, using the recommended seam allowance provided by your pattern, or if it's a self-made pattern, whatever your preferred allowance might be. When one half of your single layer corset is done, it should look something like this. Sew the second half as a mirror to the first one, and then iron all the seam allowances of both halves nice and flat. Ironing over a tailoring ham can help with some of the curvy bits like the bust and hips. I do actually need to go ahead and cut out an additional pair of pieces for the busk, and if you're aiming for a finished corset rather than just a mock-up like me, then you would also want a second pair for the back pieces as well. Go ahead and mark your seam line on the front edge, and then lay the loop half of the busk wherever you'd like it to be, and fully mark the front edge and a little bit on each of the side of the loops. These extra markings help make it easier to see where you're supposed to start and stop when you're stitching it on the machine. Do make sure that you leave those loop openings clear. You don't actually need to cut the threads between the sewn sections like I did here, but hopefully this does clearly show what areas you need to leave unstitched. Iron that new seam allowance open and then insert the busk loops. Using pins or clips will help kind of hold the busk in place and keep it from moving around on you. If you have one, a zipper foot will make this next part a little bit easier because you can use the foot itself as a guide to kind of glide next to the bone. Usually you would probably want to use a matching thread for this so that your gloriously uneven seams like this are maybe just a little bit more visible. For the second half of the split busk, we need to go ahead and stitch the first panel facing with the usual seam allowance, iron it open, and then iron it closed again, which gives it a really neat and clean finish. Line up the loops wherever you'd like them to meet on the center front panel, and then mark inside of each loop where the post/peg of the second half of the busk is going to go. Using an awl, open the marked spot just enough so that you can get the post through. If you aren't able to quite get it through, just go ahead and open the hole a little bit bigger, but do be careful to only make it as absolutely big as you need to. When all of these are in place, go ahead and secure that busk down with a row of stitches. The center front is now functionally complete, so let's go ahead and move to the center back. Since this was my first corset mock-up with this pattern, I knew right away that there was definitely going to need to be changes, so instead of adding grommets to the center back, I'm instead just using a lacing strip. I will show you how to properly grommet the back later in this video, so check the description for timestamp notes if you'd like to go ahead and skip to that. For my lacing strip though, I do still want to accurately reflect where the corset closure would actually be, so I'm marking away the seam allowance and using that as a reference point for where this lacing strip should start. Stitch the lacing strip on, making sure to sew on the inner edge so that the outer edge remains free. You're going to need that open so that you can lace the corset later. In order to add some boning, I do need to find somewhere for the bones to go. A mock-up like this doesn't need to be fully boned to the extent that a final corset might be, but I do really strongly recommend putting in at least a few in the side because it will give you a much more accurate picture of what the pattern looks like on your body than if you try and skip adding bones at all. I've added 4 boning channels to each half of the corset, and I'm now inserting the temporary zip tie boning. These are not made for corsetry, but they do work quite well. If you are making an actual corset, then I would recommend either flat felling your corset seams so that they are nice and strong and neat, or stitching the seam allowances towards the outside instead of the inside like I did, and then covering them with the boning channels so that the raw edges are contained inside those channels. Or I guess you could add a lining, but then it's not exactly a one-layer corset anymore, which is totally fine. You do you. Lace up the back. I'm fond of the bunny ears method, but whichever way you like is just fine, and then try on your newly completed mock-up. Looking back, I think I actually did some really bad math when enlarging my corset pattern panels and have ended up way too large. Whoops, that's okay. The overall shape, however, is really promising, so I think I just maybe need to raise the top edge a bit. This mock-up has done its job. It communicated some very excellent information to me, so now I'm going to go ahead and salvage the bones and busks so I can reuse them. Back to my table for the second mock-up. I'm cutting away literally all of the width that I added to the first one, which is, you know, cool. For the second corset, I'm going to show a welt construction method. Normally a welt seam is stitched just like normal, and then the seam allowance is ironed over to one side and stitched again. For this corset, I'm sort of sewing 2 welts at once, so I kind of think of this as the double welt method. To start out, you're going to need 4 of each pattern piece. Lay them out nicely together to verify that you still have all the right parts, and then for this one I recommend stitching the busk first. So I'm marking the seam allowance with the pencil and then stitching the area between each loops, and then ironing the seam allowance open so that I can easily and cleanly insert that first half of the busk. Once the busk has been stitched securely in place, with matching green thread this time, go ahead and take 2 of the next panels and add both of them to the first. One on the back and one on the front. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down, very carefully realigning the pieces as I go. Iron both of the top and bottom panels forward. Add the subsequent pieces in the same way, double check that you have them facing in the right direction, and then put the right sides next to right sides so that the previous panels are sandwiched between the new ones. When you've added the last panel, you'll now need to stitch the back closed. I've done this by folding the seam allowance inward, and then I'll top stitch these together. If you want to be a bit more precise about it, then you can measure and then mark the seam allowance before then carefully stitching as close to that edge as you can. That's 1 half down, second half to go. I'll start again with the busk. I did have a bit of an unfortunate incident with an exploding green pen, but at least the ink matches my project, I guess. Woo! Iron the seam allowance open and then into its final position. Line up the new panel with the first half of the corset and mark the post locations. Go ahead and open them up with an awl and then install the post half of the busk. Stitcha, 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 stitch, stitcha, stitcha. Okay, the busk is complete. Now add the rest of the panels from left to right, stitching each one on and then ironing it open before moving on to the next panel. When you get to that last panel again, mark the seam allowance, fold it down, and then top stitch through both layers. Oh guys, it's looking so clean. Okay. So, to add boning channels, we don't need to add strips of extra fabric like we did with the first method. Instead, I only need to stitch through the 2 corset layers to create an internal boning channel between them. This is really convenient, although it kind of works best for corset patterns with a fairly vertical pattern. It's less great for patterns where the boning needs to go across seams. While I could go ahead and add the lacing strips again, I am kind of keen to try out my new grommet kit. I used the original pattern to mark the spacing for the grommets and then punched holes using the included kit punch. I know that some people like to use an awl to make their grommet holes since you lose less of the material that way, but I figured I'd give the punch method a try. The only real trick I've found with these is that remembering that the side that is currently face up is actually the inside of the corset. Functionally, it doesn't really make a difference, I suppose, but if you want the nice side of the grommets to face outward, then the finished side needs to go down. It's possible that I learned this the hard way. Lace up corset number 2, again with the bunny ears method, and see if this is any better than the first one. Alright, this is actually quite a bit better. The overall fit is much improved, although I do see a few things that I'd like to change, like raising the top line all around and perhaps raising the start of the cups. Fitting something like a corset can be tricky. I recommend taking several pictures of different angles all around so that you can look at them later to see how it really looks on your body with a little bit more objectivity than the mirror sometimes provides. For the third corset, after lengthening the pattern a bit at the top and a few other minor adjustments, we are again doing a 2-layer corset, so you'll again need to cut out 4 of each pattern piece. Go ahead and sew them together so that you end up with 4 complete corset halves, 2 for the inside, 2 for the outside. Go ahead and arrange them with the smooth sides facing each other. We are essentially going to bag line these, stitching the center back and the center front before flipping them right side out. Starting again with the busk, take care to mark the loops and then stitch between them. Sometimes I find that using pins to mark the "do not sew here" spots can be helpful. And then stitch the back seam, iron everything nicely, and then flip everything right side out. Alright, insert that busk, but do make sure to take the mandated domestic animal attention break. Is she not the cutest gosh darn thing? Continue inserting the busk, adding the second half with the post, and then stitching them in place, just like we did with the first 2 versions. To make the boning channels, top stitch wherever you'd like the bones to go. Unlike the double welt method, you can absolutely use corsets with all sorts of crazy, curvy seam lines and gussets and gores, and you just have so much more freedom with how you want the channels to be shaped in case you want to get up to any crazy shenanigans with this method. I kind of had a lot of fun setting the grommets for the first corset, so why not? I'll do it for this one too. Add in the boning and then try it on. Oh, we are getting so close. I only have a few more things that I'd like to adjust, like adding a little bit more to the top of the 4th and 5th panel, and I think again raising the start of the bust curve just a smidge more, but it is nearly there. Construction-wise, I think I like method 2 with the double welted seams the best. It had the cleanest finish and it was the fastest to sew. Do you have a preference among the 3 that I covered, or maybe an alternate favorite method? Let me know. I love hearing about which styles people use the most. I did not cover binding in this video since these are just mock-ups, but I have shown that on my 17th century stays video, so watch that if you want to see binding, especially around some tricky curves and corners.